Thank you, Chairman Raskin. I am pleased to be here today to examine the Biden administration's comprehensive strategy for addressing the threat posed by violent white supremacy and domestic terrorism. This subcommittee, under Chairman Raskin's leadership, has long warned of the need for the federal government to address domestic terrorism. And on January 6, many of us in this room witnessed this terror firsthand. On that day, militia groups and other violent extremists led an attack on our Capitol, and the battle flag of the Confederacy, the symbol of white supremacy, was brought into the halls by force for the first time in American history. That threat did not arrive unannounced. In recent years, domestic terror attacks by white supremacists, anti-Muslim, and anti-government extremists on the far right have surged. Yet during the same time period, the FBI arrested fewer, not more, domestic terrorists. During the Trump administration, top officials focused on the threat posed by far left extremism, while a right-wing insurrection against the Capitol was planned in plain sight on social media, in the newspaper, on the airwaves. I commend the Biden administration for recognizing the gravity of this threat and meeting it head on. Many of the proposals in this national strategy represent a sea change from the previous administration and are long overdue. Confronting domestic terrorism and white supremacist violence requires a whole of government approach, pulling from all the resources of the federal government, as well as state, local, and tribal partners. I encourage the Biden administration to forge meaningful partnerships with community leaders to support mental health services, restorative justice initiatives, bystander intervention programs, and more. With this shift in strategy must also come a renewed commitment to effective oversight. Over the last 2 decades, our domestic national security strategy has far too often targeted communities of color and Muslim communities in particular. We must ensure that the federal government does not fall back on flawed tools or faulty shortcuts in the name of national security. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses today about how we can achieve these new investigative priorities with safeguards that will protect the civil rights and civil liberties of all Americans. Thank you, Chairman Raskin, for calling today's hearing, and each of our witnesses for joining us here today, and I yield back.